The idea of navigation analysis is to understand how users navigate through your website and whether they can easily find what they are looking for. A first way of doing navigation analysis is path analysis, which is based on the analysis of frequent navigation paths. The key question to be answered here is, from a given page, which other pages do users or groups of users visit next in X% of the times? We obviously hereby assume that the users follow a linear path, which is not always the case, since a user may go back and forth, have different tabs open, etc. Here you can see path analysis illustrated in Google Analytics. In the red rectangle, you can see the About page of our Blue Courses Basic Credit Risk Modeling course. Below, you can see how many people directly entered through that page, about 32%, and how many were on a previous page before, about 68%. You also see how many exited after having seen that page, around 40%, and how many went on to another page, about 60%. In the table below, to the left you can see the pages people viewed before the page we are analyzing, and to the right, the next page in their path. You can click on any page you see in the report, on the left or right, to then analyze that page. The report will automatically update. You also have the option to click on the name of the page you're currently analyzing in the red rectangle and then search for another page. Here you can see another example of path analysis in Google Analytics. It is called a user's flow report and is a graphical representation of the paths users follow through your site, from the source through the various pages, and where along their paths they exited your site. At the top left, you can see that we are interested in looking at differences between navigation paths of visitors from different countries. You can easily use other criteria, such as acquisition channel, new versus return visitor, marketing campaign, type of browser, etc. In this report, you see notes, which represent pages, and connections, which represents navigating from one page to another. The sizes of the notes and connections are proportional to the number of visitors. The red colored parts represent leakage, or visitors dropping out after having seen that page. The report is interactive, allowing you to highlight different navigation paths to see the flow for those sections without losing sight of the overall navigation picture. Another way of doing navigation analysis is funnel analysis. The idea of funnel analysis is to define a predetermined sequence of pages and then measure entry and exit at each stage. The end stage of the funnel usually represents a conversion, such as a purchase or collected lead. In other words, funnel analysis is a method of understanding the steps required to reach a conversion on your website and how many users get through each of the previous steps. The set of steps is referred to as a funnel because the typical shape visualizing the flow of users is similar to a funnel which you use in your kitchen. Funnels can be defined for different time horizons, such as for one visit or across several visits spread in time. The latter obviously assumes identification of users across sessions using, for example, persistent cookies. Here you can see an example of a funnel which I took from the website below. It concerns a website selling personalized bike tours, and a conversion is defined as a collected bike tour lead. The first step is selecting a bike tour from the tour catalog. To the left of the first step in this funnel, you can see the entrance or referral pages. To the right, you can see the exit pages. You can see that out of the 5,056 that visited your tour catalog, 2,746 moved on to the next page in the funnel, which is the tour description. We do have quite a bit of leakage after this first step, so the tour catalog page may be ready for optimization. Do note that since step 1 of the funnel was defined as required, we do not have entries that occur at lower steps. From the tour description page, you can see how many move on to the inquiry form page, and from there onwards to the bike tour lead page, which represents a conversion. You can see that 2,273 visitors converted, which represents a 44.96% funnel conversion rate. A page overlay or click density analysis report lets you drill down on the clicks on every single element of your page. The clicks can be combined with any other metric of interest, such as conversion rates, bounce rates, time on site, etc., which are also overlaid directly on the actual pages. You can also see if users clicked on non-clickable areas, in which case you might want to consider adding a link. A page overlay report allows you to traverse through your website as a group of users navigated through it. Here you can see an example of a page overlay report taken from the website below. It displays the specific elements on your page that have received clicks, demonstrated with plus markers. Markers that are colored red are elements that are more popular and have received more clicks than markers that are colored blue. You can then click on each plus marker, see the amount of clicks, and if desired, add other web metrics as well. A heat map gives a colored representation of your website based upon the intensity of a certain event of interest. Popular examples are clicking, scrolling, or moving your mouse. Let's give some examples. Here you can see an example of a click map taken from the website below. Click maps illustrate where visitors click their mouse on desktop devices or tap their finger on mobile devices. In the latter case, they are sometimes referred to as touch heat maps. The map is colored from red, which represents high intensity of clicking or hot, to blue, which represents low intensity of clicking or cold. Another variant of a heat map is a scroll map, which illustrates how far down the page people scroll. You can see an example here taken from the website below. It's again colored from red, which represents high intensity of scrolling, to blue, which represents low intensity of scrolling. In this example, you can immediately spot two sharp color changes, one at the top of the page, from red to yellow, and one about 3/4 down the page, from green to dark blue. It could be worthwhile to investigate these exact locations to see why people stop scrolling after reaching these specific points. Finally, a move map tracks where users move and pause their mouse as they navigate the page. You can see an example taken from the website below. The hot or red spots represent where users pause their mouse, and research suggests a correlation between where people are looking and where their mouse is positioned, meaning that a move map gives you an indication of where people are looking at as they navigate your page. Hence, this is very useful information to optimize your web page design. Think about ad or banner placement, for example. As with any type of web analytics, also with navigation analysis, it is recommended practice to apply segmentation where possible. For example, investigate differences between navigation behavior of all visitors versus search traffic visitors, across geographical regions, converters versus non-converters, and desktop versus mobile devices. The latter allows you to see if your website performs well on different devices. Content that is prominent on a desktop device might sit much further down on an iPhone. And you need to see if navigation and interaction differs and what the impact is thereof.